According to the Pew Research Center, less than half of U.S. kids under the age of 18 live in a traditional American household, with both of their parents who are married to each other. Whatever you think of this trend, one conclusion is obvious. Traditional marriage is not the only possible way to raise children. Similarly, 50-50 partnership is not the only possible way to collaborate on a real estate project. In fact, it's often the worst possible setup, yet many investors automatically choose the 50-50 partnership, giving little to no thought to the consequences of this critical decision. So let's give it some thought, shall we? Why do we partner up? No, I'm not talking about marriages here, I'm talking about real estate. Gloria joined our REI ProGuard program a couple months ago. Being a new investor only several months into it, she decided to partner with another. When we asked Gloria about her partnership, she confirmed what we feared was the case. Gloria met her partner, Anne, while taking one of the real estate seminars. Both women were learning this business, and neither one had prior experience with real estate. They both had limited funds, limited connections, and similar skills. In other words, they were not combining their strengths or their resources for some synergy. They were jointly fighting the same fears and inexperience. This is not called partnering. This is called a support group. Nothing wrong with that, but support groups do not need to be structured as LLCs. Starbucks was created for this need, or Specs if that's what you prefer. Partnering would make much more sense under one of these scenarios. Gloria found an attractive deal, and Anne is providing funding for the project. Gloria has sales and marketing skills, using it for acquisition and selling, while Anne contributes her construction skills. Gloria has extensive knowledge but very little time, while Anne brings the opposite situation, plenty of time but no experience. The common theme in these examples is simple. You need a partner when your partner brings to the table something you do not have. You won't have a very enjoyable potluck dinner if everyone brings mac and cheese. Well, maybe that won't be the worst thing, but you get my point. So let's do the partnership then. Why not? I can't help but bring back the marriage analogy. It's easy to get into and a nightmare to get out of. The same applies to partnerships. Divorcing out of a partnership can be as much of a nightmare as divorcing out of a marriage, or so I heard. The conflicts can, and do, get very intense and personal. A lot of money can be at stake. Even custody battles have their partnership equivalent, deciding who ends up with jointly owned properties. Someone might be stuck with child support of sorts. So if you're saying that you're tight with your partner and there's no chance the two of you will be fighting, I hear you, but how is it different than marital vows again? We have witnessed some very bitter business divorces between childhood friends, between sorority sisters, and even between brothers in arms. If that doesn't seem believable, we can show you some emails along the lines of, "How can you do this to me after everything we've been through?" Yes, in real estate business. A Russian comedian once said that people get married to jointly solve problems that a single person will never encounter. If you list the most common reasons for spousal conflicts and ultimately divorce, you will see that partnerships deal with the exact same risks. Money, control, division of responsibilities, incompatible personalities, infidelity. And if you're wondering what infidelity has to do with business, then Google partnership fiduciary duties for some eye-opening reading. Bottom line, not unlike marriages, business partnerships are complex commitments that create not only benefits but also multiple risks and complications. Jump in at your own risk. So, why are 50-50 partnerships the worst? Actually, they're the second worst. Handshake partnerships take a dishonorable top spot on the business disaster list. 50-50 partnerships are the close second. Surprised? You shouldn't be. Let's specify what we mean by saying 50-50. You get 50% of the profit, and I get 50% of the profit. Of course, that sounds simple and fair, and many investors stop right there, while they should be asking at least two more questions. Who takes us there? And what happens if there is no profit? Let's not forget that 50-50 award assumes 50-50 effort. Can you see a problem here? I do. Even if in the early days of business, both partnerships bust their behinds shoulder to shoulder, life inevitably happens. Will you be happy to give your partner 50% of the profit if he was sidelined by a demanding job, illness, or family emergency for a good stretch of time? Or if you had to repeatedly drop everything and rush to the project site to take care of a crisis while he was vacationing with his family? I don't think so. But you agreed to 50-50, so here you go. Or rather, here goes your business relationship. Now, the elephant in the room, foolishly ignored until it was too late. What if there is no profit on the deal? Who eats the loss? 50-50, right? You wish. Imagine a rather common situation. Your rehab is in its final stage, and your GC just called you to report that he found some terrible termite damage requiring another $2,000 to fix. Since you're 50-50, you bring a $1,000 check, and your partner will cover the other half. Right? Not so fast. His car broke down this morning, and he's short on cash. Guess who's going to shell out the other $2,000? Not concerned about $2,000? Then how about $20,000 repair budget plus $10,000 hard money extensions? I know, that will never happen to you, but what if it does? Where is your 50% partner now? Of course, nothing to worry about because you can always recover your temporary cash infusion from the profit when you sell, if you end up with enough profit, that is, or any profit for that matter. Do I have to tell you what happens when there is no profit? I hope not. Remember this simple truth. When things go south, the only one who suffers is the one who invested the money. The other partner just walks away. Google the European Union for a good illustration. Some problems with a 50-50 partnership do not involve money directly. Take decision making, for example. What if your partner wants to hold on to a property, but you think it's time to sell? Who wins? Since you're 50-50, the correct answer is nobody wins. You both lose. If not 50-50, then what? Then 60-40. Or 75-25, or 51-49. Anything that gives one person the power to break a standstill. If you have the 51%, you get to decide. I may be unhappy, even mad, but I have no choice but to live with your decision. It's not like we were used to this system. Every recent presidential election in the US has been pretty close to the 51-49 ratio. And it looks like we might have another close one in 2016. By the way, one of the powers that you should have as a majority owner, even though 51% barely qualifies as a majority, is the power to fire your partner. This is a rather dramatic, but nevertheless an effective method to resolve your differences. It would be nice to have this option in some marriages. And what if your egos preclude any other percentage other than the democratic 50-50? If you have two Batmans and neither one is willing to play Robin, then you need a third party to resolve any deadlock. The decision of this third-party arbitrator must be binding for both parties. It does not matter who this referee is, as long as his decisions are accepted. And if no such person exists, then the NFL-style coin toss is another option, if you can agree on who's going to be doing the tossing. As you notice, the 51-49 or the arbitration arrangements resolve only part of the problems with the 50-50 partnership, decision power. They do nothing to prevent problems with the distribution of duties and with business losses. Those problems are part of the deal whenever you create a variation of a partnership, which brings us to the next question. Can we partner without partnership problems? Yes. You can have your cake and eat it too. All it takes is a little thinking outside of the box. In this case, outside of the partnership idea. A lot of arrangements are traditionally structured as partnerships would be simpler, more effective, and less risky if reorganized as one of the two alternatives. Investor-lender or investor-contractor. Both concepts have their respective pros and cons, and they may not be suitable for your particular situation. However, whenever available, they are superior to the conventional partnerships. These two structures, as well as many other legal and tax aspects of partnering in real estate businesses, will be covered in our seminar on November 12th by real estate accountant Michael Plaks and real estate lawyer Steve Newsom. If you're interested in registering for this class, you can find a link for it below. Thank you. We really appreciate you listening. Please let us know if you have any questions about our upcoming seminar.